The Gensush released the 30 January 2024 the new data balance rate, the new monitoring field, and the new rules commentary. So here I'll bring up the things related about the rules commentary, and if you're interested, you can find in the description the link about the site so that you can find the links about all the things related, so this article related, and then you can find also in the description the part related about the data slate so that the balance status, so you can understand what has been changed. Remember that I bring up only the new things, so that if you're interested about the previous rule commentary, you have to go in the description so that you can find all the things related about it. Here I bring only the new things, the update about the rules or the new ones related. So now we can begin. So we have abilities with the same name, that it's a change of something that we've seen before, but anyway, it's important. Abilities with the same name, excluding the aura abilities, can affect multiple units times. But if such an ability apply a named condition to a unit, for example, suppressed, that condition can only affect the target unit once at any given time. So, for example, you have 2 Grit and Clean ones in your army and target an opponent intercessor squad with both of these Nargol root ability. As this ability is not an aura, because you have to remember that it excludes the aura abilities, it can be applied multiple times to the target unit, reducing the fullness statistic of models in that intercessor squad by 1 for each use of the ability. So, because you have 2 Grit and Clean ones, it's 2 of the reduction. For example, in another one, we can find 2 custom boosters blasters in your army, and this target an opponent aggressor squad with both of those models riveting that ability. And this ability is not an aura, it can be applied multiple times to the target unit, but as it's applied the suppressed condition, its effects will only apply once, starting 1 from the hit rolls in that case, regardless of how many times the target unit is suppressed, because it has suppressed. So it's a little thing, but it's really quite important to understand such changes. Then we have adding models to a unit. So this is changing, rephrasing of some parts, but it's the same that we've seen before. So some rules allow you to add models to a unit during the battle. Models added to a unit on the battlefield must be set up in unit coherency with models in that unit that started that phase on the battlefield. And you have also to remember that models added to a unit that is not currently on the battlefield does not have meet this requirement. So this is important change. This is important because you remember that, for example, with the Space Marines, you had the Apothecarium. So those could be useful to create such things. So then we have about arriving from strategic reserves in the first battle round. Abilities that allow units to be set up in the reinforcement step of your first, second, or third movement phase using the strategic reserves rules treat the current battle round number as being 1 higher than it actually is in the first battle round only, unless explicitly stated otherwise. So it's simply a way to make them being able to arrive. So, okay, and you have to understand that often you anyway try to change such rules so that no unit can arrive in the first battle round, so pay attention about such detail. Then we can find about the battle shock test that again has been clarified a little. So we had that the battle shock test, you have to know that this is true, so that you have to roll 2d6 roll required by each unit in your army and so below half strength in your combat phase. But remember that not this true even if that unit is substantially destroyed, which can determine whether or not you can target that unit with a stratagem. So pay attention about this. Then we can find that in the battle shock step of the command phase, if for any reason a unit is forced to take a battle shock test for being below its starting strength, unless otherwise stated, the unit does not have to also take a battle shock test for being below our strength. So here it's something that makes you sure that once that you're forced to do one, you don't have to do again another one. But you have to pay attention because the exceptions are quite often. So attention. Then you have to notice that the destroyed units does not have to take battle shock tests, and the beasts cannot make a destroyed unit take a battle shock test. Okay, it's destroyed, so it's not anymore on the battlefield. I don't understand why they should take battle shock test, because if they are destroyed, are not anymore, but okay. Then we can continue. We can find that there are a lot of things that has not changed, but some has changed in a little ways. So for example, charging, we have seen a part about the charge bonus that been updated. So we had that bestow on a units that make a charge move, so that until the end of the turn, the unit has the fight first ability. Not that other units and abilities that trigger when a unit makes a charge move in that unit as charge are not part of the charge bonus. So here you have to pay attention, because it changes completely how you can gain. So pay attention about such, because it's quite important one. And then we can find about the contested objective marker, that is say that an objective marker is contested at the end of the phase or turn. This is the clear addition, so it's the same for other things. They have control objective mark. Again, a player control objective mark at the end of any phase or turn, and at the end of a turn, control of objective markers is determined before any victory points are scored. And I think that it's okay, because if you think about the objective markers are useful to make the victory points, so it's good that you before clarify which one are the one that you control, and then you can take the victory points later about. Then count as having made a normal move. Here it's okay, a change, but it's rephrasing, because it's something that we have yet known. But anyway, remember that reserves unit always count as having made a normal move in the turn they are set up on the battlefield. This is simply to clarify that they cannot move further in this phase, but have not remained stationary. Remember such distinction, that it's important. Such unit has not made a normal move, however, so that arrival cannot trigger stratagems or abilities that are used after a unit makes a normal move. This is a clear distinction. Remember that you have anyway stratagems that are about when you arrive. Similarly, a unit that disembarked from a transport that made a normal move this phase also count as having made a normal move, but not made a normal move. So, such a unit arrive cannot trigger stratagem or abilities that are used after a unit make a normal move. See the embarked units RSS. Again, it's simply once, but it's better to clarify to avoid any misunderstanding. Then we have CP gained at the start of a turn. So CP gained at the start of the command phase as a result of any ability, for example for the Swarmlord Hive Commander ability, count towards the one command point gained per battle round limit. So this is important to remember. Then we have about the damage statistic, where a damage statistic includes an operator, for example a plus or as a d6 plus 1. The value of the operator is part of the damage statistic, and it's not a modifier. So it's really quite intriguing about this one, because it specifies how you can apply modifiers so on, and so this is important one anyway. And so we have quite a lot of little things, as you see. Then we have about does not make advanced role abilities. So, abilities that instruct players not to make an advanced roll for a unit, but instead to increase the move characteristic of models in that unit by a specified amount, cannot be used with other abilities or rules that also instruct players not to make an advanced roll for the unit. In such instances, the controlling player must choose which of those abilities to use. So, not to make that, for example, you apply twice of such similar effect and you gain twice the movement bonus. So it's simple, but it's okay. It's important. It should be obvious, but anyway, okay. You have embarked the units and reserves. Units embarked with a reserves models can disembark in the turn that model is set up. Pay attention about this. When they do so, they cannot be set up within 9-inch horizontally of one or more enemy unit. They count as having made a normal move. See, count as made a normal move before. And they cannot declare a charge this turn unless a rule specifically states otherwise. But they can otherwise act normally in the remaining of the turn. This is important because it's useful if you think about when you bring trying to make, for example, the salvo movement, the salvo with the shooting and so on. So there is a lot of things that could be useful for, and this specify quite interestingly. About the enhancement for the multi-model character units. When you give an enhancement to a character unit from your army, if that character unit contains more than one model, you must specify which character models in that unit is the bearer. Sincerely, I think that this is the base, because you should even have on the rooster about this, because okay, it's essentially something that it should be the basing, because you have to specify about. They have fight on death, that it's the same, but it had added modified a bit, so that you have, as usually, that some rules enable model to fight after they have been destroyed. Okay, remember about this. If more than one model from a unit is under the effect of a fight on death, that rule, each of those models fight at the same time. Note that at the times a model fight on death, it is destroyed, which may be important when determine whether that model unit below its starting strength or below half strength. So remember about such a thing, because it's really quite important about, but it's common. And then have something that it's really, really big as a change, because we have hazardous, that when you declare attacks with hazardous weapons, you must take a hazardous test for each of those weapons, and even if you did not resolve those attacks, because the target was destroyed. So if you declare anyway, you have to roll. When a unit that includes one or more characters equipped with hazardous weapons fail one or more hazardous tests, you have two options. You can select any models equipped with a hazardous weapon to suffer the effect of that failed test. It does not have to be the character, even if that character was the only model attacked with that attacker with a hazardous weapon. So you can simply make that, you make scapegoats the other ones. If you select a character and there are excess mortal wounds after the character is destroyed, allocate those mortal wounds to the unit as normal. So remember that mortal wounds can't be dismissed. And then we have again about the hazardous test, that it's for characters, monster, or vehicle units. So you must allocate the result of failed tests to the same model equipped with one or more hazardous weapons unit. That model is destroyed or until you have resolved each failed hazardous test. When that model is destroyed, you must allocate any excess mortal wounds first to another model equipped with one or more hazardous weapon. Then you must allocate the result of any remaining failed hazardous tests to that model until that model is destroyed, and so on, until each model with one or more hazardous weapon has been destroyed, at which point you must allocate any excess mortal wounds and any remaining failed hazardous tests to the unit as normal. So this can seem really quite complicated, but we can see an example that is specified, and it's really quite simple. Remember that technically, first you start with the hazardous weapons, other than for the characters that can make scapegoats, and if some remain, you go to apply to the other ones, even if they have not the rule. So pay attention. So make the example, consider a unit of 3 Crisis Battle Suite, led by a commander in Crisis Battle Suite, in which the commander and one other model each has 3 circling ion blasters. If that unit controlling player declares that only the commander will use the overcharge profile for their cyclic ion blaster, after the unit attacks has been resolved, the player will make 3 hazardous tests for that unit. If they failed one or more of those tests, they would select one model from that unit to suffer 3 mortal wounds. This would have to be one of the models equipped with a Cyclo Iron Blast, even if a Crisis Battle Suite with no Cyclo Iron Blast has already been damaged. Remember about such distinction, because before you apply on the iron, and so it's one of the few ways to make that you have that a model, more than one model in the unit, even if they are not characters, can be damaged. Otherwise, it will be not possible, but here there is an exception. And so if remember that this would have to, so that the model equipped with a second blast, even if a crisis has been so damaged, and if the crisis battle suit equipped with a second iron blaster has already been damaged, it would have to be the one allocated to the model, to that model, so the one with Hazardous other than the characters. But remember that first you start with the iron, or better with the Hazardous, without the characters that are an exception, and then you go to the other ones. And the player will continue allocating mortal wounds to that model that selected the unit until it was destroyed. Then they would select another model from that unit equipped with a Cyclo Iron Blaster to suffer any excess mortal wound, and the remaining failed Azuzu test. And so until each model equipped with a Cyclone Iron Blaster has been destroyed. Once each model from that unit equipped with a Cyclone Iron Blaster has been destroyed, the player allocates an excess mortal wounds and remaining Azuzu test to the unit as normal. So it's really quite simple at the end, but really quite specified now. So you have no options about misinterpreting this, and it's good that it's made such specific. So it's really quite intriguing. And anyway, you can see there are again other things that it's related about the objective secured. So here it's again a sort of rephrasing adjustment because we have yet seen about such things, and this is quite important. Objective secures various ability allow you to retain control of an objective marker even if you are no models within range of it. For example, the objective marker secured by ability of the intercessor squad. Regardless of how these rules are worded, control of objective markers is determined at the end of each phase and turn. See the core rule extra errata. So while you retain control of an objective marker affected by this ability, even if you are not models within range of it, at the end of a phase of turn, your opponent can gain control of that objective marker if their level of control of it is greater than yours. So remember that this means that even if the unit is outside and the opponent tries to control, the opponent has to have a value of control objective better than the one that had taken the control of that objective. So it's better to make a bigger unit of example intercessor squad that they have a better value of it, so that you can be able to do, and it's really quite intriguing. You have one shot that has little changes, so that one shot weapons cannot be used with the firing deck ability. It's simply a way to limit them a bit, but it's okay. And then, so we can find that again there is something about the redeploy. So we have that the rules are the same that it's specified here, but it make an example. So for example, if all the mods in one of this unit has the infiltrator ability, that unit player can set up this unit using that ability. It's simple one, sincerely. It's something that they could have been simply ignored, but it's an adjustment about. So really, you have to think about such changes because there may be sometimes little one. Anyway, the one about the wounding and so on, it's really quite important. We have also something about splitting units. So some abilities allow you to split units in two smaller units before the battle. For example, the ability of the carry venoms, but think simply about the Space Marines, so that it's usually for them. And when using such abilities, the same models can only be subdivided in this way once. Those smaller units cannot themselves be split further. If a rule is used to split a unit into multiple units before the battle, the starting strength of each individual unit is changed to be equal to the number of models in that unit. As obvious, but it's a thing that allows you to understand better how it works eventually. Now about the vehicles with bases. So that make that when measuring from the vehicles, aircraft and workers and so on, there are anyway some exceptions. And to compare to the previous one that had a single one, we have two exceptions that are explained better. So again, it's that as the movement with engagement range and so on, you have to take note about being based in contact, base-to-base contact, or simply to the part about the around of the model. But we have also that a unit can embark within a friendly transport with a base after that unit ends a normal advance or fallback move, wholly within 3 inch horizontally and 5 inch vertically of any part of the transport. And when a unit disembarks from a transport with a base, set it up so that it is fully within 3 inch horizontally and 5 inch vertically of any part of the transport model, and that not within a engagement range of one or more enemy unit. Again, it's something that we've seen in some way, but has been rephrased and changed a bit so that it's more comprehensive, more without any misunderstanding. So pay attention about such a and really a lot of little things, as you can see, because a lot of parts are literally only to make avoid some misunderstanding. About ignoring modifiers. So here again has been changed a bit compared, and maybe it's more calling a rephrasing of what we've seen before. So when an ability allows you to ignore modifiers to a unit or models characteristic unless specifically stated otherwise, this allows you to ignore modifiers to the following characteristic: move, focus, save, wounds, leadership, or objective control for the models, and range, attacks, ballistic skill, weapon skill, strength, armor penetration, and damage for the weapons and attacks. When an ability allows you to ignore modifiers to a unit or model's roll or test, unless specifically stated otherwise, this allows you to ignore modifiers to all rolls and tests for those models and their attacks. So, for example, an advanced roll, hit roll, wound roll, damage roll, charge roll, desperate escape test, or arduous test. And when a rule states you can ignore any or roll modifier to a stated characteristic or roll, you can choose to ignore all the modified to the started characteristic or roll. So it's simple, this one, but anyway, it's a way to really avoid misunderstanding, because are simply readjustment of what we've seen before. Then again, there is some change about the core errata rules. So we have about the command reroll that has the same effect. It's been updated. We can call like this about when. So in any phase, just after you make an advanced roll, charge roll, a desperate escape test, or hazardous test for a unit from your army, or a hit roll, wound roll, damage roll, or saving throw for a models in that unit, or a roll to determine the number of attacks made with a weapon equipped by a mod in that unit. So this is simply a more comprehensive way to explain it, and it's even more interesting about. Remember that anyway, it's quite precious, the roll, so pay attention. Then about rapid ingress, that it changed a bit the effect, so your unit can arrive on the battlefield as it were the reinforcement step for your movement phase, and if every mod in that unit has the deep strike ability, you can set up as described in the deep strike ability, even though it is not in your movement phase. So it's important, this one, and make sure that you know that it has to be all models with the deep strike ability about. And again, there is a little change about the objective markers that explain that a player will control an objective marker at the end of any phase or turn, but we've seen this before because there has been 2 facts related in this update. If their level of control is greater than their opponents. It's simply something that we have yet seen in this same file, but it's quite important to understand that has been updated. So what to say about such changes? Sincerely, there are many interesting ones, but more than everything, these are not literally changed, but clarifying. It's a way to make you sure that you understand how and what has been, to avoid any misleading. So it's okay. Anyway, about the hour and so on, I think that it was understandable. A lot of things are yet understandable, but it's okay. The only thing that I continue to say is that these should have been put directly on the book, the core book, because they should be the basis. So okay, still it's important to understand that has been done such, so it's really quite important one. So from that mode, it's everything. I invite you to subscribe to the channel, to ring the bell so to receive notification about new video, to comment under here about this video, or if you want to suggest me new videos. So I hope to see you again to the next time.